up, YouTube? Welcome to Idiot's Corner. Man, I saw this article. I think it's a few days old, but I had to comment on it because I'm an old white man, and it seems like she's talking about me. There are plenty of shows for old white men. Ruby Rose hits back online haters who slammed her casting as Batwoman. She's set to play the first on-screen lesbian superhero Batwoman. But Ruby Rose faced huge backlash when she was cast in the leading role, forcing her to shut down her Twitter account last year. Now the model-turned-actress, 33, has hit back at her online haters in a candid interview with Glamour. You know, Glamour is nothing but intelligent stuff coming out of there. Some people might not see themselves on the screen and therefore not see the point, but there's obviously plenty of shows for people like that. There's plenty of shows for old white men, Ruby says. I'm going to just stop right there. The rest just goes on to talk about how great she is for being gay. You know what I find funny about these people that are hijacking Marvel? Marvel was created by old white men. Stan Lee DC. Comic books in general. But they were created by old white men. And they wrote about what they wanted to write about as their art form. And now you have people coming along saying there's plenty of shows for old white men. Well, there's plenty of stuff for gay women to do. You're hijacking you're not her in particular, but the extreme leftists with this agenda are hijacking something that was created by old white people, old white men, you know, and now they're coming in and they're like, oh no, we need more diversity here. We need more gay people. We need more female representation. We don't like the subject matter and what it's portraying. It's like somebody, if they wrote a movie about a murderer and I guess that just happened with the Joker, and you come along and you say, hey, we don't like what this is portraying. What should all movies be about? Puppies and rainbows? If there's something that exists, a male chauvinist or whatever, and you write a movie about it, and I'm not saying any of these people are that, maybe Iron Man, when the series first started, that's how he was. If you write about that, that's people that exist. You don't just pretend like these things don't exist because, like you wouldn't write a movie about a murder because murderers don't exist. Anyways, I just find it funny that people are coming along now trying to hijack these comic book shows, movies, and comic books in general with this new woke rhetoric. And then they want to say stuff like, there's plenty of shows for old white men. Why don't she find a show that was written for lesbian women? Do something like that. I don't understand why. Well, it's like if you went to NWA and they made a part 2 and you were like, hey, there wasn't enough Asian representation in the first NWA. There's not enough Asian representation in your music. You need to start making music, not that they make music anymore. But it's like, these are art forms. And if a white person or a black person, whoever, sat down and they wrote a book about white people or black or, whatever, if a gay person sat down and wrote a book about gay people, you can't come along and say, oh, well, you're not representing enough of everyone else. That's not how it goes. If they made it and it took off because people were interested in what they were writing about. And to come along now and say it's stale, like I've seen, and they need to put an end to this, too many white men in media, it just doesn't make any sense. It's ridiculous. This whole new woke era is just nothing but hypocrisy and ridiculousness. And if you say anything about it, they label you as like a homophobe or racist. It's not that. It just doesn't make any sense. To come into an art form, I would call comic books an art form. And if you don't, maybe you shouldn't be involved in it, but it's an art form. and to pump your message into an existing art form, come up with a new art form. Come up with something new. You know why they don't do it? Because nobody cares about that. Nobody is trying to watch that stuff. So they're coming into to movies that are already in characters, and not just comic books, but in all forms of media that are already there, and pumping in their message. And it just doesn't make any sense. Start your own thing. Start your own, make your own comic books if you want. You don't have to come into stuff that's already existing and hijack it. I believe the biggest reason for that, I'm not a Trump supporter, but I'm saying people are so pissed that Trump won that they've doubled down on all this, injecting their message into everything. Like, and I feel like America has already shown they don't want that. They don't want this message. They don't want this woke culture. Go be woke to yourselves. But this extreme left isn't happy with that. You have to accept what they think and how they feel. And you have to have it in everything you do. And that's what's wrong. They don't want what they claim, that they want to be, they want it to be equal. They don't want it to be equal. They want everyone to accept their lifestyle and what they do and their feelings and their views 100%. And they want to inject it into everything. And it got, like I said, they've been so pissed about Trump that they've doubled down on all of it, and they've injected it into everything. And it's getting old now. And I think what's happening now is the opposite of what they thought was going to happen. I don't really know what they thought was going to happen. Most of the time I feel like it's out of spite that they do a lot of the stuff they do. But I think what's happening is the opposite, and people are starting to revolt, and they don't want it, you know? Like, it's one thing if I'm like, hey, you want to smoke crack? You know, I'm not saying gay people smoke crack or anything. I'm just saying with anything, you want to do what you want to do, go do it over there. Quit coming in, shoving it into my face. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't shove my stuff into your face. We just go, we watch our comic book movies, you know, comic book fans. We're not shoving messages into anything. Just, that's what we like. We're just doing what we like. You guys are the ones coming into our art forms and trying to shove your own politics in there. And then you say stuff like, there's plenty of other shows for old white men. Doesn't make any sense. There's more than just old white men that listen to comic books. I would say that's the majority. And I don't understand why I would say comic books are mostly men, you know, and I'm not saying no women like comic books. There's a lot now. There's a lot more women that like them now than ever have been before. Still, the biggest people watching them is men. And I would say second is probably white men. And I'm not saying there's no black people that watch comic books or any other race. I'm sure there's a lot of different races. But I'm just saying, I just feel like they're taking these companies are taking the majority of the people that watch them, and they're letting actresses and actors come along with these agendas that say stuff like this in interviews, and they're alienating who they made their money off of, you know, who put them at where they're at now. Because I tell you what, if Batman and comic books weren't popular, no one would care about them. No one would be trying to put their message into them. But they were built up by old white men. You know, back in the day, they'd take Marvel, for example. They were built up by these old white men. They made these comic books. It was their art form. And now people are coming along years later and saying, hey, you're not promoting enough of this, and you're not promoting enough of that. And it just doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense. America you can make your own. Go and start a gay comic book or an all-woman comic book. I think Marvel, for being written by old white men, has plenty of diversity in it. I don't think they pushed certain characters to be more popular than others. I just think that they became more popular because that's just the way it worked out. There are plenty of great diverse characters, and to hijack. I just don't understand it. It just doesn't make any sense. I feel like it's just for out of anger, out of spite. They're like, hey, we need to attack everything. There's a new 007 is going to be a woman. How many movies are they going to remake casting women as the lead roles? They did Charlie. They're doing Charlie's Angel again. Not that it wasn't always women, but now Charlie is going to be a woman. Ghostbusters. I mean, how many are they going to make that don't even do that well? Nobody's trying to see them. There's like a small group of people that are screaming for this stuff. A small group. And it seems like these companies are appeasing them and just worried about what they want and I think that's how Trump won the election, because there's a great amount of people out there that don't care for a lot of this extreme left message, and they were fine just leaving it alone and not worrying about it, letting people have their opinion. But these extremists, they just want to push it into everything and take over everything and force their opinion on everybody and force their politics and their message. And I think it's having a backlash. And I believe that's how Trump won. I didn't vote for Trump. I don't like Trump. But I believe that's how he won. I believe people are just getting tired of this. And now they're doubling down on it. And I think they know what they're doing. I think they know they're creating an uprising against them. And that's one of the reasons that they've been trying to impeach him, because I don't think they can beat him. Not that I would vote for him. Not, I don't need any Trump hate in my comments. I'm just saying that I believe that's why he won, because they're not coming with a logical argument to win people over, because most of what they're trying to do, there is no logical argument. So what they're doing is hijacking and pushing their way in to make their thoughts and their political views a norm, and it's not working. It's actually pushing people further away and polarizing the country even more. And it was once written, a country divided against itself, or a kingdom, will not stand. And I feel like that's what's going to happen in America. We're so divided against ourselves right now that I don't know how we're going to stand much longer. Sorry to get all crazy on you. Not crazy, but sorry to get so serious. Thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe. Leave me some comments, what you'd like to hear. Until next time, I'm just an idiot, so who cares what I have to say.